Welcome to BW Healthcare World. My guest today is Dr. Abhishek Pilani, who is a dermatologist by training, a founder of Assure Clinic. From starting a standalone clinic in Mumbai to having a chain of 14 dermatology clinics focusing on skincare and hair transplant, he's revolutionizing the way aesthetic treatments are being offered. Let's speak to him today to understand his journey and that of Assure Clinic, and also what does the future of aesthetic treatments look like in times to come. Dr. Pilani, thank you so much for joining us on BW Healthcare World. And
The pleasure is mine, sir.
my first question to you is, what is, we see a lot of growth in the cosmetic industry, where aesthetics and cosmetic treatments, etc., are going through the roof. What is it that is leading to the growth of the cosmetic industry?
So, first of all, I'll say cosmetic industry is now standing at the eighth largest industry in the world with a huge increase in the growth as per the numbers, as per the procedures. I have to say there are a lot of things which are coming up. The reason behind this is for sure we are now in a selfie world. We are now living in an Instagram world. Social media is the major platform way for conveying, for doing anything and everything, and people started noticing themselves so much. Couple of 10 years, a decade before, also, if I have to say, the pictures what we used to click was on a marriage event, birthday function, something. Now it's like more than that. Every morning you start with a selfie and all those things. So people have started getting more awareness. At the same time, technology wise, if I have to say, the advancement in the technology, the availability of the procedures, the affordability of the patients, everything has seen a lot of changes. So yeah, cosmetic industry is on leaps and bounds, increasing year on year.
So, Dr. Pilani, another thing is that we've seen that this industry is growing. Like you said, people are living in that internet world, which means they're getting exposed on a media almost every
Right.
day, sometimes multiple times a day. And they are obviously concerned about looking good and being presentable. So, does this also mean that we have seen, the expenditure of what they are spending on grooming themselves to grow? Has the expenditure gone up?
The expenditure has gone up. People are ready to spend money on themselves. Particularly, if I have to say, yeah, COVID has taught us this, that all of us are important. We should be taking care of ourselves, and everyone likes to look good, feel good, the confidence associated with it, the or as we mentioned, the Instagram world, people, it's not restricted to the celeb people what is who were seen in the media. Every second person now has the capability to have attained that. So yeah, people are ready to spend. Also, if you see the lifestyle what has changed, I believe iPhone is also a common person's phone now. Initially, when I remember, even a decade before, to purchase a phone for 50,000 was a big thing. Now, for everyone using an iPhone is now. So people have started spending on themselves, having a better lifestyle is what everyone wants. Looking good is always going to be there, and now people have realized that for sure.
And how is the industry growing? For example, we see that the aesthetic industry, do we have some numbers as to how big this industry is in India?
As per what knowledge I must be having, I'll say the aesthetic industry was somewhere. The US itself had a 105 billion industry in 21, which is supposed to go to 250 approx billion by 2030. That is a compound annual growth rate of more than 9% a year in that sense. And eventually, yeah, the numbers are going to speak, and people are more and more inclined towards this for sure.
So, Dr. Pilani, one of the things that I have seen in the last 1 year is that, pandemic saw that the medical tourism completely came to an halt. And then even when it has opened up, we see the challenges in terms of visas, etc. People are, there's a lot of it's not easy to get a visa to come to India. But things have started changing now, and it is the industry is coming back with a vengeance. But we've always seen that people are coming for elective surgeries, etc. Do you think that aesthetic procedures will be a part or a impactful part of the medical tourism? Will people be coming to India for aesthetic procedures as well?
To be very transparent and frank enough, sir, aesthetic is going to take away all other surgeries as a part of medical tourism. Including ourselves, we have a chain of clinics across India where we see a lot of international patients traveling since long years. It's all references, and as you know, Indian doctors are preferred across the globe as the best doctors. The kind of services what we give, the kind of treatments happening around, affordability, the kind of price range what is there behind any kind of cosmetic procedures in India and across the globe is a huge difference. Pandemic, yes, I have to say pandemic for a couple of years there was a huge fall in that because of the visas, because of the COVID fear, because of the quarantine measures and everything. But since it has gone back, it is improvising in a much better way. Also the technology what is there nowadays, as we mentioned about the social media and everything, nowadays we in fact we ourselves are having an application where we can have a virtual consult with the patient. The trust and factor is there is a very transparent industry. So yeah, the medical tourism is going to be a huge thing across the globe, and India will stand 100% above most of them.
So, Dr. Pilani, you know, in your earlier answer, you were mentioning that the impact of lifestyle and the lifestyle diseases could have a impact on the aesthetic industry as well. Can you explain that? How will that happen?
Sorry. So a lot of lifestyle diseases. It's not that lifestyle diseases have increased now to a great extent. It is also, yeah, the lifestyle disease for sure has increased, but the awareness is also there. If I have to compare with the 2 3 decades before, the awareness wasn't there for whatever services are available and everything. Now all the diseases which we are facing in a daily lifestyle, there are a lot of recuperations, like there are a lot of cosmetic options to correct them also, which is again very easily available, which is very less invasive, which is affordable. All those things are there. So any increase in the lifestyle disease also, for me, if you ask me as a dermatologist, a lot of diseases causes a lot of hair fall. A lot of patients are losing their hair in a almost in a permanent way. There are a lot of skin issues. There are a lot of early aging signs. All those can be reversed, and why not? When you have an option to correct those features, at least for you to feel good every day by looking good is one of the major things which gives you a positive thing for other disease to take care of also. And it's always a saying that skin and hair always reflects your internal well-being. So if you have your good skin and hair, for sure it's going to be a very well-being for internal.
You know, you've touched upon a very beautiful thing that your internal well-being is a reflection of, or probably, you know, what you appear to be outside is a reflection of what your internal
And
being is.
internal,
And it and you know, it also, I've seen that if people look smart, if they're well groomed and they're presentable, they also feel more confident, right?
100%.
Aesthetics per se, or looking good or being well groomed, was always more acceptable among certain professions, like, you know, you'd see celebrities, actors, etc. And I know that you have a lot of celebrities who are your patients. But have you seen this transform and change? And now, uh, people in general, are they looking at this? You know, I'm taking a cue from what you said about the advent of social
100%.
media and how it has impacted.
Yes. It has impacted a lot. If you say sometime back, even a person for us in being in cosmetic industry or dermatology or skin and hair clinic, people don't prefer coming on the front from the front gate. They would always want the identity to be hidden, and there was always a complex around this, that we are doing some kind of skin treatment, we are doing some kind of hair treatment. Should it be known to people? Nowadays we come across patients, they come with their cameras on, please let's go live on Instagram with our procedures, let's do so this is the change which is there. People have started accepting this, and this is an more kind of excitement than myth which was there associated with this before. So this has helped the business also to grow. the awareness also is much higher, and the confidence which is required, what people opting for looking good and everything, is not restricted to the celeb kind of people. It is now wanted by everyone, every individual.
You just hit on a very important aspect because you are working in an industry where you have professionals, experts who are trained medical specialists, and then you also have people who are not medical specialists, but they've got training and they're offering services. What's happening in the industry? And and I'm taking the cue from what you said, that people were trying to hide or come from the back door because they're coming, and it was because probably they're thinking that we're coming here for a medical treatment related to skin, versus going somewhere else which was more towards grooming. And so I mean,
Right,
I
right.
don't know if how are you responding to this change in the industry?
This has come as a very positive effect on the industry for our services. For we are getting more chance to get involved in these kind of services, try new things, and as doctors also, we would also want to do whatever best we can do. The only problem what we face in the industry, specifically in India, is the law. The guidelines are not yet that up to the mark, where you can. There are restrictions. There are no actual restriction that who should be doing what kind of services can be offered by what doctor. Like for a cardiac thing, you would want to go to a cardiologist only. For skin and hair, there are multiple different names and different degrees available across the globe, where even a small 15-day certified course may make you eligible to do something, which is ethically, I feel, not right. Though with recent things happening across the market, across the globe, and people started getting more awareness on this, yeah, people are opting for more ethical practices on the same lines. Yeah, there are new guidelines which are coming, which I guess should be there very soon in India also.
And Dr. Pilani, I have a question that you are a medical doctor, who specialized in a certain area, hair transplants, etc. And then you opened a chain of clinics. I mean, and so working from a standalone practice to managing a chain of clinics requires different skill sets. So apart from your medical knowledge and expertise, you also need to be a great administrator. You need to be a business person to ensure that your practice is sustainable, profitable, so that you can, serve more people. How did this happen? How did you think of choosing to set up a chain? And what has been your journey?
I'll be very short and sweet on this. I completed my masters in 2015. I was kind of person who likes relaxing more and spending more. That's the reason people who choose dermatology as don't have emergencies and that kind of lifestyle. So I opted for a job where I was working. I'll not be naming it, but yeah, I could undergo a lot of unethical practices happening. And being a senior most doctor, you would not want, but still in a corporate setup, you are forced to do things which are not. That is where I planned to set up a center. And while setting up a center, coming from this kind of family and everything, I started interacting with people. During that phase itself, 2016, when I started a show clinic, there was these venture catalyst upcoming. A very close person to me was one of the founders of Venture Catalyst. Again, as a patient, we started interacting. He asked me to pitch in front of, and then we started wanting such kind of practices we can establish across India. The ethical practice was the major intention of it, and started training doctors. Started changing the rules of the thing. The doctors should be doing the procedure, though it is a time consuming and a tedious procedure. We always feel patient is coming with a faith, with some kind of investing time, investing money, expecting that kind of thing just for the sake of it's a time consuming thing. Shouldn't be opting paramedical staff doing the procedures majorly. So yeah, that was the vision, and it was a big learning curve for us. 16, 17, 18, I had 3 centers. Then 19, I planned for 7 more, and then COVID hit. Again, that was a difficult time for us to sustain, because again, cosmetic procedures, we didn't have the leverages to operate, and huge amount of salaries, rent always were there on the head. But yeah, by God's grace, we could sustain, and we've been growing again. So that's it, sir. That is how we've been growing, and having a vision for expansion further. We are coming up with a center in GCC also.
Right.
By next month, we'll be functional in Dubai also, and planning for the GCC expansion and a global expansion also.
Lovely, lovely. So, Dr. Pilani, you said that you moved from serving in a organization where there were unethical things happening. How do you differentiate yourself or assure your change from everyone else to give that comfort to the patients?
So, as I already mentioned, I always prefer that the entire procedure, specifically mentioning about hair transplant, it's a very time consuming and a tedious procedure. It takes a good amount of energy, strength, and time behind the patient. It is 6 hours, 7 hours at a stretch also, and we may do multiple procedures also in a day. So yeah, so for the same reason, what was happening or is still happening is the majority of the procedure is performed by paramedical staff or technicians and all those things, which I don't prefer personally. Since the day I started, for first 2 years, I was the only doctor at my place, and I make sure the entire procedure start to end is done by a doctor, and that is how I've been training my doctors and following it. At the same time, we take a complete responsibility of our patients. If something has been conveyed to the patient, we give them an assurity that yeah, we are here for you always. It's not that something we'll be telling you and you come again and there's a different thing which is given, and everything is very transparent and assured, and people have a lot of trust. We've been growing majorly. 80-85% of our patients are references only, be it different city, be it different country across. It is just references which has got us here and possibly further also.
And Dr. Pilani, I've just noticed I went to your website and I see that you have centers in Mumbai. In fact, was that the first center that you set up?
Was center, yes, Andheri was there.
And then you moved to Bangalore. And but I've seen the trend that you have now started moving towards tier two cities, right?
So trend
Is
was
that a
in
conscious
fact,
choice?
yeah, in fact, my first center outside Mumbai was Raipur. So I have been working on a very simple principle. It is the confidence, it is the local people who will get the confidence and who will get references. For a procedure like hair transplant, the major constraint what people would be having is the safety and result. And if you have some live patients with you, some known patients with you who's got very good results and who are 100% sure about it, the convincing becomes almost negligible. They are already convinced for the procedure. So by the time we were operating in Mumbai for 3 years, we developed a lot of patients from different parts of the city, different parts of the country. So we planned our centers accordingly. Wherever I had more references, I used to plan a center over there, and that is the chain is continued that way.
So you moved where your patients were from.
Yes, and that is
Any
how we've been
plans?
moving.
Any plans of moving to North? Because I don't see that you have any
Sure,
centers.
sure. I just got occupied a bit more in the growth phase also because of COVID. It was delayed, but I got occupied with the GCC setup. Once my GCC setup is done, I plan for North and South expansion next year with at least 7 to 8 more centers in next 1 year
Right.
with Chandigarh and everywhere.
Right. Dr. Pilani, COVID for the healthcare industry brought in a lot of transformation, a lot of change. And one of the changes, the reason for a change was that suddenly technology became very important. Technology became acceptable both at the caregiver's end as well as the patient's end. So, I remember that teleconsultations have been there for a decade, but people always wanted to be in the clinic face to face with the doctor. That changed. What are the technology advancements that we are expecting or are we seeing in the aesthetic space, both for the hair as well as for the skin?
So, aesthetic as well as for hair and skin both, we ourselves have developed an app which will be live for both Android and iOS. And there are multiple options available. Otherwise, also without an app, there was a WhatsApp, there's Zoom, and there are multiple options to get connected to a doctor. But the app, the technology advances has given us an option where there are artificial intelligence to evaluate your skin, the texture, the quality, percentage of involvement, the hair consultations. It's allowing us to give you a artificial application where we can give you a before after kind of feel. There are multiple things where we can register the patient which is consulted, which is there always on board. The entire history is there on records in front of you. Then, if you say ki, as Assure, we have multiple setters pan India, the availability of the doctor becomes much easier for us. It is not necessarily located to a particular clinic. Supposedly, a patient who's there in Andheri and the doctors in Andheri are occupied. We have an alternative doctor who's there available at Jaipur Center. It's easily available. Person who's traveling frequently, person who requires a regular follow up. Nowadays, people it's a regular follow-up for skin patients, everything, and that is how patient loses a treatment follow-up or a doctor loses a patient. Now, because of this artificial intelligence and the advancement technology, it becomes much easier for us to have the entire data, entire history, and also consult the patient at any place and on the go.
And Dr. Pilani, is there any conscious choice of what segment of your patient society are you choosing to work with? Is it the luxury segment, or do you also have plans to make your services affordable as and when you're moving towards tier two?
I'll tell you, so there is no much price differences between any city, tier two, tier one, tier three city. The affordability is now not that much of a concern because people want the quality and the service. And to lower down the price, we have somewhere we go for a cost cutting thing, which I am not in the favor of. People can surely afford, and on the contrary, there are also lot of banks where there are 0% EMIs available. If you're opting for a service which is required, maybe you can opt for a EMI facilities also. But lowering down the cost just for the sake of catering to a certain population and then doing a cost cutting and affecting the quality of the service is what I will never opt for. In fact, I would always want to find an alternative option to give the same quality service to everyone.
Lovely. Dr. Pilani, when we look at the emotional vulnerability of a patient, because when people are coming in, when they are having a problem of hair loss, or they don't have hair, or when women are coming in where they have created a self belief about themselves that they are not looking good and they want to groom themselves, they have an aspiration, but they also are suffering from self doubt, etc. So how do you deal with patients at an emotional level? Because at the end of the day, that's what is going to transform.
First is the answer is by just getting in them whatever they've lost, getting them back. I'm sure they'll be getting all the confidence and all the depression what they're going through. But yeah, during a consultation, it is very important to give them a realistic picture, to give them the boost of the confidence what we can do. And the technology has advanced to a different level where we can cater almost 90-95% of their concerns to their expectations. And when that is possible and that is reflected in your consults, yeah, patients are convinced, they are happy, they are excited to go through the entire journey, and we make sure that we deliver that.
Lovely. Dr. Pilani, women nowadays prefer getting cosmetic treatments like lasers for hair removal. They are using Botox, many such treatments. I don't even know how many treatments are available.
Right.
But there's a myth, or I don't know if it's a myth or a reality. In fact, I need clarification on
Mm.
that. That do these kind of treatments, which are usually artificial therapies, have any impact on the production and reproduction of cycles of a woman?
No, not at all. So there is completely, there must be a myth. There are multiple treatment options available if done by a professional, if evaluated proper by a professional doctor and guided personally by a professionally to a patient, there shouldn't be any kind of side effects. Secondly, it is not restricted to a female client only. All these services are been well catered to a male patient also. Secondly, it is making your life simpler and more smooth. It is not something which is treating you for something, but it is not something artificially injected to cause some artificial things. Botox is not restricted only for fine lines and aging. Yeah, that surely is one of the major concerns and helps you in grooming yourself to a different confident level. At the same time, Botox is used for different conditions like hyperhidrosis, there are excessive sweating, there are chronic migraine conditions and everything. Then there are lasers, what you mentioned, laser hair reduction, everything. We surely don't do during a period where patient is conceiving or something like that. But yeah, otherwise it is 100% safe procedure with proper machines used, with proper parameters set by the doctor and done it properly, ethically. I don't see any kind of side effects or anything.
Awesome. So, Dr. Pilani, you spoke about affordability. You said affordability is not too much of an issue, but if there's a quality treatment without making any compromises, then the cost is definitely there, and there are options like EMI. Does insurance cover any of these aesthetic treatments? And if not, what is your suggestion? What needs to happen?
So frankly, insurance doesn't cover any of these, most of these, I will say, because unless it is done for a medical reason, aesthetic medical reason, post burn scar, I can still claim for an aesthetic procedure. But otherwise, if you just feel like it's a natural process of aging and we are trying to reverse this, which is not naturally, it's not covered under this insurance. Insurance wise, more than to a patient, it is the doctors should be insured more, because nowadays patients, there are a lot of there are different type of patients and different kind of expectations. There are certain things where products are working, there are medicines which work, there are different reactions on body. If even if it done properly with a proper product and everything, you may not meet up to the expectation of a patient. And then nowadays, again, because of social media and everything, you always have this one patient or trying to act smart and trying to spoil your name across. So that fear is always there with the doctor. The kind of incidences we see back in India with the doctor patient and trying to extort money and stuff like that. So there should be some legal law restricting someone is putting something on the social media. There should be some restriction on that, and that will cover most of the insurances. Otherwise, I don't think so that will come into picture for anywhere for cosmetic procedures, because this is something we are trying to reverse the natural process.
And you are opening a center in GCC now. And so, since you were talking of legality, how easy is it for an Indian doctor to open a practice in in GCC or any other country? I mean, what are the kind
Sir,
of challenges that you came, and how did you overcome them?
yeah, initially for the first setup, there is surely, because it's completely different world what we are entering into as compared to India, what we are very familiar and where we are known to it. Uh, the the entire journey is going to be tough and difficult. But what I've heard, what I've seen, once you start practicing, the all the things which we faced is going to benefit you in future. I'll just give an example. They've been so vigilant with the kind of even material used for the infrastructure in the clinic, the kind of tiles, the kind of borders everywhere, because they are concerned that there shouldn't be a place where there is a possibility of hygienic condition. There has to be special care taken for handicapped patients. There is to be special thing for every patient which is coming over there. But that has taken surely more time to set up the center. But I believe that is going to help me get the same kind of practice back in India also. Though I was believing I'm the best and I do the most hygienic practice over here and everything. But yeah, looking at the quality over here, I have surely tried to improvise ourselves in back in India also.
Dr. Pelani, my last question to you. You are a company or a chain of aesthetic clinics, which you started with the investment that you took from external sources. Who are the investors in your company, and what is your plan? Are you looking at raising more capital? What is your expansion plan? What is it that we can expect in 2023 from Assure Clinics?
So I'll tell you, 2016 when I started Assure was a sole proprietor. 2017, as I went through, I took a couple of investments, one from a very close friend and family through Goradia. And then these venture capitalists, Summit Capital got involved again through a family and very close people. They were investing in a lot of seed startups and everything. They had that trust and faith. Uh, from number wise, we've grown from a huge number, from a turnover of 1 crore to 30 plus now. over a period of 6 years with one center to 14 centers. Last year, we had a soft round of $2 million at 100 valuation also. We've added a couple of more people. There's a SPGN group and there is Vivek Panchal from Powerton. All of these are the patients. The comfort is there, the confidence is there, and all have trusted me to take this to a different level. We have planned to expand across the globe very soon. We'll be having more centers in GCC. We are coming up with our daily products, hair care, skincare products. We've developed our application. GCC has signed the deal with a patient, a very known person for GCC expansion for approximately $6 million deal. So yeah, further looking at 2023, we become a pretty much self-sustaining thing, and whatever excess amount we can generate, we'll be using in our own expansion right now. We'll be continuing to do this and not raising more capital for next 1 year possibly. And maybe after that, as per the requirement and as per the expansion, we may plan it.
Thank you, Dr. Abhishek Pilani. I mean, this is so encouraging to see how you have grown from 1 crore to 30 crores plus, from a sole proprietorship to now setting up a practice in GCC and having plans to go across the globe. I wish you all the best, and I really thank you for joining us on Business World Healthcare and Wellbeing. Thank you for your time.
It was a pleasure talking to you, sir, and would love to connect with you again anytime.